It's Saturday afternoon, and today the president should see that his ability to get a second stimulus package by act of Congress is dead. It's effectively dead. If he doesn't understand it now, then, I don't know what else to say to him. His options at this point are only executive order. Minutes ago, Nancy Pelosi rejected the president's $1.8 trillion deal, as detailed on 28. And now the president has virtually no path to get legislative approval done because he can't go higher. The Republicans won't support it. It's time for an executive order, and this is Afternoon's LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're good and safe. It's a Saturday afternoon. Hope you're staying well and warm. It's actually warming up here in California today. It's getting a little bit hot again, once again. Go to Finesse Channel, subscribe. Subscribe because we're trying to reach 290,000 subscribers. But more importantly, I'm trying to find you money in the face of all the hot mess express happening today. Also, like this video. What I'll be going over in this video is the breaking details. The rejection of Steve Mnuchin's offer of $1.8 trillion announced by Nancy Pelosi today, why Republicans quietly are saying, stop it, Donald, we're not going up higher than 1.8, we're not even agreeing to 1.8, and three, why the president has had problems comprehending, and perhaps today we'll understand it's time, now or never, executive orders. All right, let me get to the breaking news because there is a lot. Before I do that, I want to explain the following. Afternoon's LALATE will follow the unique programming schedule of yesterday because you apparently really liked it. Because there is so much breaking news, this video will go over the check. The next video will go over Nancy, the 25th Amendment, the ability to erode the president's ability to get second stimulus to you as well. The third video will go over Mitch McConnell on how he has blocked the ability to get you stimulus. And finally, the fourth video will go over Pelosi versus Mnuchin. It'll also cover the usual subjects in those time slots. All right, now let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news is the following. Nancy Pelosi has rejected the president's offer of $1.8 trillion. This is effectively, as of today, but things could change, it could change by the minute, but effectively, as today, closes the door on the ability to get second stimulus by legislative action. It does not close the door for executive orders, which this channel's followers, the Purple Power, have been pushing for days and days and weeks. It's perhaps at this 11th hour the president will wake up and understand to stop playing games and do executive orders. The announcement came in a very long press release, which I'll be going over with you shortly, in which Nancy Pelosi says the deal is done. Dead. Her deal is done, but the deal is dead. You got the point. Okay. The question is executive orders. Let's get the executive orders, Mr. President. It's at points like this that people wonder what's going on with people in politics. This seems so apparently clear, and yet it's not being done. First, he has the money for it. $300 billion. $300 billion for your stimulus checks. It only costs a high $288 approximate billion to send out stimulus checks. Guess what? He has more than $300 billion. He has $500 billion. So he could either do an executive order for stimulus checks that are more robust, like $2,000 or $3,000, or he could do a executive order for stimulus checks and FPUC. He can do both of them or a bigger stimulus check executive order. First, he has the money. The money is not in Treasury. Let me make this very clear. The president does not need act of Congress or congressional approval to send out money that is not in Treasury. This money is sitting around in the coffers of old first stimulus package accounts at agencies for programs that have now closed. An example of this is potentially PPP. Many believe the money is in PPP, which is now closed, is now expired. It's unused money. So all he has to do is tell that agency to send out the money. The money is likely in SBA, so you tell Jovita Carranza, we're back with her again. My God, get your scarves ready. Jovita, send out some stimulus checks. It's as simple as that. 2, he does not need congressional approval. 3, he's done it before. He's done it with LWA. The money was routed to FEMA. 4, the president has announced many times he wants to do it, would be doing it, and could be doing it. Larry Kudlow just said it days ago. The president would repurpose money. Repurpose means it's money that was dedicated for something else, was not used for that thing because the thing has expired. They had too much extra money sitting around. It's basically extra money. And now would repurpose the money for you. So let's get it done. Viewers of this channel want $2,000 checks. Most Americans want $2,000 checks. Viewers of this channel actually want multiple stimulus checks, but I don't think there's enough to give multiple stimulus checks. There is enough to give maybe upwards of $3,000 stimulus checks. I don't think he's going to do that. That there's enough to do $2,000 stimulus checks. $2,400 for married couple. If we're at $1,200, dependents, a full stimulus check. There's enough money for that. Let's do it, Mr. President. People on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, and railroad benefits, he says he wants to give you a stimulus check as well because you didn't get one the first stimulus package around. Well, let's do it. People on child support would not be taken out. People with debt collections not taken out. People with taxes that are due would not be taken out. This is so simple. The next thing that's simple about it is routing times. If he did it right now, you would get the stimulus checks within about 10 calendar days if you're set up for electronic receipt of funds for SSDI, SSI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits. If you pay your taxes electronically, you would get it in that quick time frame. And if you're a paper check type of person, then it would come about another week thereafter. It's so darn simple, obvious, and apparent. Do it. Just do it. Now, people ask me on a daily basis, why hasn't he done it? And they're asking my opinion. My opinion is, 1, he's been led on by Nancy Pelosi. He's been thinking that he can sweet talk her and negotiate it and bring it to a finality through act of Congress. 2, I believe, my opinion is that Larry Kudlow has been in his ear. Larry Kudlow is a chief economist in the White House cabinet, and I believe that Larry Kudlow has been telling the president, you don't really need it, don't worry about it. 3, the president has thought he didn't have to do stimulus and could still win. Well, if you watched 28 before this, he absolutely cannot win without stimulus. He's too far behind in the polls. The latest indication shows that the president's behind upwards of 14 to 16% across the country. He's losing in 4 or 6 swing states. He's not doing well. The debate has been canceled. There's no other big major event to give him a pop. Even if he gets a Supreme Court nominee done, it's not going to be a big pop in the polls. Next, the Senate. How about the Senate? Well, the president really shot himself in the foot with the Senate. He never aligned himself correctly with the Senate to figure out what they could do and how he could get them done. And ultimately now, the Senate's talking. In a new report issued by CNBC minutes ago, it says one source said the Republicans in the Senate took issue with what they described as an effort by the Democrats to provide maximum health care subsidies to any new Obamacare enrollees as part of their latest $2.2 trillion bill. Senate Republicans expressed oppositions to the new bill from Pelosi at 2.2 under negotiation in a Saturday morning call with Steve Mnuchin and White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, sources tell NBC. This is shocking. If Mark Meadows and Steve Mnuchin and the president don't understand this now, I don't know what else will make them understand it. The Senate Republicans reportedly called the White House and said enough is enough. You better not support this $2.2 trillion bill, and you better not counteroffer against it. We think it's deadly. As Election Day approaches, it's unclear if Congress will have the time to pass a pandemic relief bill as Republicans focus more on Judge Amy Coney Barrett's nomination to the Supreme Court. What's important to understand here is that Republicans are now calling the president, Chief of Staff Meadows, Mnuchin, from the Senate and saying, no, you're not doing this deal. 2, no, we're not doing this deal. And 3, what are you doing wasting your time? Ironically, if you watched last night's evening's LALATE broadcast, I told you there was a big report out that said that Senate Republicans were worried that Nancy Pelosi was trying to cannibalize the party by causing some Republicans to go higher, some Republicans to go lower in these deal offers. It didn't work. Apparently, the Republicans are very aligned still in the Senate, and they're being very vocal to the president, calling him up today and saying, enough is enough. So with that, with Nancy's rejection, the Republicans of the Senate saying this, what does this mean for you? Well, ultimately, the question is if the president will understand the necessity of executive orders. There's three possibilities which I detailed on 28, and now there's really even less possibilities. The president, between now and the election, as we sit here today, and certainly could change tomorrow, you can change tonight, but between now and the election, the only path to get stimulus before October 28th, before the election, is by executive order. It's really just too darn tight. Now, I've seen magical things happen. It still could happen. But I really just don't think legislatively there's a path at the moment to get this done before the election. That's the first thing. Second, if we don't get it done before the election, well, what happens come November? This is what's important for you to understand, because a lot of people may not explain it to you clearly, and it's a little confusing until it's explained. On November, decisions will be made about the Senate seats. Decisions will be made about the House seats. Decisions will be made about the president. If a person loses a seat on election night in November, it does not mean that they stop working between November and January. It does not mean that someone else comes in and starts voting starting early November and can start doing things differently. For example, if John Jeffries is running for an election and wins on election night, he doesn't come into his capacity in his role in the Congress until January. So between November and January is what's called the lame duck period, in which people who may have lost re-election are still there. So do you think someone who lost re-election, who did not give you stimulus, is going to give you stimulus between November and January? That's ultimately your opinion to decide. Do you think someone who won re-election, but someone in another section lost, will give you stimulus? An example of that is, for example, if the Senate does remain Republican, but the president loses the presidency, do you think a Republican-led Senate will give you stimulus relief come November after the election with a president who has lost in the election? It's something you need to decide. It's ultimately not my call just yet. Nancy Pelosi was very vocal in her statement today. It goes on for pages and pages. She says basically, and what's interesting to talk about this, is that she says that the $1.8 trillion deal offer from Mnuchin was not really 1.8. What she claims is that they've basically tinkered with items to make it look like it's a little bit larger. This proposal amounted to one step forward, two steps back. When the president talks about wanting a bigger relief package, his proposal appears to mean that he wants more money at his discretion to grant or withhold, rather than agreeing on language prescribing how much our workers crush the virus and put money in the pockets of workers. Okay, now, this is ultimately where the people of this channel will have problems, again, with Nancy Pelosi, because she's taken out hazard pay, so she's not putting money in the pockets of workers. And so her introductory remarks are clearly disingenuous. We are urging the administration to support our OSHA language, which requires OSHA to institute enforceable emergency temporary relief. Okay. Ultimately, they have a liability provision that's reckless and that it ignores the safety of the workplace. Okay. For a family of four earning $24,000, this is what we've offered. The HEROES Act, $9,890, which include earned income credit and tax credit. Trump proposal eliminated the earned income credit, and child dependent credit. Earned income tax credit We propose that any parents who lost their income in 2020, they could receive $5,920 tax credit based off all their earnings. Proposal from the Trump administration is eliminate. Basically, paragraph after paragraph is tax credit, tax credit. We want to have a lot of tax credit. Unemployment insurance. We contain strong funding to protect the family of 5 million workers. Trump proposal $200 billion less, which experts tell us is what is needed. Ultimately, there's a lot of paragraphs in her statement. It goes on. And what I got to tell you is that, again, as has been much the case, she doesn't give you numbers. She gives you broad, general numbers like, we want to give $57 billion for childcare. Okay. We want to give money for unemployment assistance. Actually, she doesn't give you a number for that. And so what she does, once again, for the umpteenth time, is she doesn't tell you where the numbers are. Now, I certainly have a problem with Steve Mnuchin. Has anyone seen Steve Mnuchin's $1.8 trillion offer? I mean, have you seen it? Have you seen it? No one has seen it. Have you seen what his prior offer was? 1.6. Has anyone seen the PDF of it? Have you seen it? Have you seen it? No. No one has seen these documents because we're supposed to guess. We're supposed to not ask. We're supposed to not know. We're supposed to just sit back and, if someone dangles us a little, carrot of a stimulus thing, $500. Here you go. Here's your $500. We have $20 trillion for the Judiciary Department, but here's $500. Well, where's all the other money? Well, don't ask. We're just not going to tell you. It's that type of treatment that I have really been angry during this entire negotiations for the Purple Power, that we as American citizens aren't supposed to know what the negotiated offers are. It's times like this that I really, on a personal level, wish that someone had the balls to say, you know what? Let's make the stimulus package a federal bill, and the American people will vote on it. Let's all go to the polls and vote how much stimulus check we should get. Let's vote how much FPUC we should get. Let's vote how retroactive FPUC we should get. And guess what? We decide, not Congress. It's times like this that the Purple Power should perhaps say, it's enough and enough. Congress should not be deciding how much money we get. We should be deciding how much money we get because they're not giving us anything. Let me answer some of your 1,600 questions before I rant a little bit too much. Max, everyone's asking when we should do stimulus like it's using it for votes. Amen. Barbara, she's acting like a spoiled child. Frank, Nancy's a drama queen. Martha, it doesn't matter. What is important is what it's going to be used for. Alice. Oh, Martha's point is that who cares how much the offer is? What is the money going to be used for? Great point, Martha. I love your comment. Thank you. Thank you for dropping that comment. Martha Shelton. Alice Miller, praise for Louisiana heat by Hurricane Delta. Yes. Arnold Mack, the American people are losing their homes and apartments while the White House and Nancy Pelosi are not worried about it. Carolyn Mano, he should do executive order. She's lost every loving mind. Tammy, Congress, please stop listening to Nancy. Precious Baker, he may have raised the money, but that doesn't mean we're going to get extra stimulus. Purple Power viewers are understanding. I did that today, and I did that last night. And I'm going to do that later today. That ultimately $1.8 trillion didn't give you more money than $1.3 trillion. That ultimately the president hasn't given you anything but a lot of promises. It's time to do executive orders. Jacques Watts, I'm not voting. I feel like both sides are trying to dangle a carrot. No, you must vote. You must go into the polling place and you must vote for the anti-incumbent, the person who is not the incumbent. Joseph Arnold, I believe Nancy Pelosi is just trying to impeach him. Jacob, it's a shame to see families going homeless. Nancy Burke, President Trump needs to repurpose the damn money by executive order. Amen. And that's 21 hours ago, Nancy Burke. Alicia Bush, so sad that they're still playing games with us. Betty Ramirez, she's drunk again. She's trying to throw a making lunch to fit her agenda. Donna Tyler, she's the one that needs the 25th Amendment evoked on her. Donna Tyler, 21 hours ago. Sherry Harrison, why? When it's in my hand, I'll believe it. Linda Blackburn, we need to use the 25th Amendment on Nancy. She's clearly in desperate need of mental health care. Coming up next on this channel, I will be going over the 25th Amendment and how it has impacted the situation and why the president has really not woken up with executive orders and what it will take for him to wake up on executive orders. For now, go to the front of this channel and subscribe. Subscribe because I'm really breaking this down for you. And I know what's going to happen in the next few weeks is going to get even more confusing as we have votes and then people changing seats and you're not sure how that's going to happen. So we have a big path. And we're almost in the finish line, but we're not over it. And we need to get over it and we need to get away from these horrible politicians. Also like this video. As always, coming up next is hazard pay, but it will include a continuation of this with the new twist of why the 25th Amendment and the executive orders are now the big twist going into Sunday. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay in LA for more.